Okay, now let's look at the conditional statements. Basically, we've got two types of conditional statements. We've got control statements and we've got looping statements, and of course we've got jump statements. Now we want to look at the control statements. Normally when we are talking of the control statements, we talk of the if else, as well as the else if. So we want to look at the if to start off with that. So we are simply saying that as we look at the program, the if statement will only execute this the program or the statement if that statement is true, but if it is false, it will just stop the execution. So I've designed a program where I want someone to enter his age. So I've written int age, printf, enter your age. So I want someone to enter the age at the output, and of course I've included the scanf. Remember, we said if you're talking about integers, we say %d, and the age I've declared also my age as an integer. Now the condition, if the syntax of writing if is if and the condition, and you put the statement. So here I've written if, and inside the brackets or the parentheses I've included the condition age must be less than 18, and if that age is less than 18, you cannot vote, wait until you are 18. So in other words, the moment I enter anything that will satisfy this condition, it must execute, but anything that won't satisfy this condition, it must stop the execution. So I'm going to run the program, enter your age, and I'm going to write 16, and it will say you cannot vote, wait until you are 18, like that. But if I try to now enter the age that is above the condition, like 23, it will just stop the execution. So we are simply saying the if will only execute when the program or when the statement is true. Now let's look at the if else. Now the if else, we are now saying if we've got two conditions, let's change the condition now. We want to say greater than 18. So you now say you can vote, and remove this other part here. You can vote, something like this. So we are now adding the else. So the syntax of adding the else is just the else, and else we don't put any condition, rather we put the opening and the closing curly brace, and we put our printf statement, whatever that we want to write inside. This time I will say wait until you are 18. Something like this. So I'm saying if so here I just included the \t so that at least there is a space after I enter my age. So don't get confused with the \t. Remember, these are just constants, and I also need to put the \n so that at least I'll get enough space to enter my data. So this program now is saying if age is greater than 18, you can vote, else, that is another condition, you need to what? To wait until you are 18. So I need also to close my curly braces like this, something like this. So as you can see, the syntax of writing the if, we are saying if, and we put the condition, and we then say else with no condition, and we just write our statement. So I'm going to run the program again. Enter your age. This time I'll write 23, and we say it is saying you can vote. But let's see if I put something that is below 18, wait until you are 18, something like this. So we are simply saying as you run your program, it means that you need also to include the else sometimes, so that we've got two conditions. So we said if we include anything that is below that, it will just say wait until you are 18. Now we want to look at, we said we've got the if, where we say the if will only execute if the condition is true, and the if else, it will execute if the condition is the if statement will execute if the if statement is true, and the else will execute when the if statement is false. So otherwise, if this first statement is false, else will execute, but if this first statement is true, the first statement will be executed. Now we've got the else. We are simply saying the difference between the if and the else if is that the else if, now we are adding the condition where we are saying now if age is less than 18 like this, so you will then say printf wait until you are 18. So in other words, we are saying the difference between the else and the else if is that the else we just write it without the condition, while the else if we put the condition. Now, so we are going to run the program again. If I say 16 like this, wait until you are, because at least you are saying if the condition is less than that. So that is all about the conditional statements.